When you guys see the sad shape that this CCD TR51 looks like, before I start on it, you're going to probably wonder why I'm going to start on it. I mean, this thing is held together with black tape and Scotch tape. But, in fairness, I'm going to look at this one and we're going to see if we can get this one working. Hope you enjoy it. Stick around. Here we have a Sony CCD TR51. This is how it arrived, with black tape on it. I know nothing about these. I received a couple of them in the mail to check out, so I don't know whether these are going to be repairable or not. The guy that sent them to me basically, I think, wants to see them taken apart on camera. But I said I'd look at them and see whether anything could be made workable. So we'll give it a shot. That part works. Let's thread up a tape and see whether anything happens. As you can see, this one's a stereo camcorder, hi-fi stereo. The initial 8mm were mono, and then they added power on a stereo soundtrack, and this is one that supports stereo. No picture in the viewfinder. Input-output switch was set to input. There's no video. But when I put it in pause, I get some fluttering on the screen. No picture. Fast forward gives me noise. Maybe capacitors on this one. Let's take this one apart. So the mechanism, the transport seems to be working. I should just plug in and see whether there's any video off of the camera section as well. Put it onto camera mode. And we have video from the camera. That's a good sign. That means at least some of the circuitry is working. I don't know what happened to this. Maybe the buttons got damaged or something. But anyway, I see the lens cover open close button on the side of the camera is missing. We'll pull the screws out and get a quick look at this one and see whether it's one of the common failures, which is, there's a couple caps on these ones that are real common. I've done them before on many of these little cameras. As you guys know, sometimes we get lucky and can get it going. Other times they're just beyond repair. A lot of these are beyond repair. It just depends on the extent of the damage. And generally, camcorders from the West Coast here are generally worse than camcorders from other parts of the country, just because the West Coast here, we have proximity to beaches, and people tend to take their cameras to the beach. I mean, not sure anybody could go to the beach if they went to Hawaii or something, but or Mexico. But being on the West Coast with beaches right here, people that live in this neck of the woods generally tended to spend more time going to the beach, going out on their boat, and so forth, and taking their camera with them. And that resulted in cameras that were, I used to see a lot of cameras that had water damage and sand damage and salt damage, because so many of them ended up going on a boat with someone. I remember I went on a boat with a buddy with my camera once, and I had it in a plastic bag. I mean, it was a little TR81. I've still got that little camera, which is very similar to this one, but it's the high 8 version. I think it's actually probably the same. It's the same camera, but it's just got the high 8 circuitry. I remember taking that on my buddy's boat a couple times. Well, at least once. At least once we went on a boat with it. And I was always concerned that a wave was going to come over the boat and swamp my camera. That was always my fear. Didn't happen, but I was kind of nervous that it might, because I saw so many that it did happen. I used to do a service for a summer camp over on the island, and every year I would get their DCR VX1000 and have to do a lot of work to it because they were always getting it wet or getting dirt or sand and stuff into it. Okay, on this mechanism here, there's a couple of caps that are known issues on the main board over here. This is the camera board, so I'm going to swing the camera board out of the way because that's not going to be the issue. The camera itself is actually working. What I'm curious is whether I can find the cap that is going to be muting the video. Just going to take out a couple screws here so that this board will lift up out of the way. I think that one doesn't have to come out. There's probably one or two others that I got to take out. What do I got to take out of here? This connector's got to come off, and then this board will swing out of the way. So typically it's a couple of these ones down in here that go bad on this chassis. We need to take the DC to DC converter board off of the unit itself so I can swing the camera board out of the way and then reconnect the DC to DC converter so that I can power the unit up and actually troubleshoot the board, because I need to get the camera section out of the way. So now I've got the DC to DC converter separate from the unit. I can power it up, connect up the power supply again. Third button down is play. Leave that one there. Okay, it should be playing the tape now, which it is. So now I can just bridge these capacitors here until I find one that will actually give me a picture. I have a pretty good idea which one it is. It's usually one of these two here. What's my value on these? Take a look and see. So I'm going to grab a 47. Not that if I put the wrong value in I won't get a picture, but it's just...
You know, there's something about these micro 8mm, these sub-compact 8mm mechanisms that are just cool. I like these little cameras. My favorite 8mm camera of all time was the high 8 CCD TR51.
Thing is, when I get the right one, the picture will snap in on my monitor, so I'm kind of watching to see what comes up on the screen. I believe it's that one. Well, it's one of them. That one needs to be replaced for sure. That's got a partial picture restored. What about this other one over here? But this one also needs to be replaced. I bet all three of these need to go. So let's change out this one first, this 47. We'll swap that one out first. I'll just connect my power. So we're just going to grab the cap and twist it, and that'll take it off the board, usually without damaging any of the traces. I say usually because I have had it lift traces doing it that way, but usually it doesn't. They usually come off pretty easy, just like it did in this case.
I'll get a new cap, and we're gonna bend. It's just I don't have a surface mounted cap, so I'm gonna use a conventional one. I'm just gonna bend the leads over and tack it down to the board. One of the nice things about these cameras is they used a lot of solid capacitors. They had really reduced the electrolytic. And you know the saying, right? The reliability of any electronic device is inversely proportional to the number of electrolytic capacitors it contains. Tuna. Yum. Okay, let's try it with just changing that one cap. I have a partial picture while that one's running. Let's bridge the next one to it. See if it... that one's going to fix the problem. Those two caps, that one's going to fix the problem. That one is a 33, I believe. So let's change this one. And that is going to fix this camcorder. This was a 33 microfarad. We'll mount it the same way. These ones are polarity sensitive. The negative terminal is the one with the flat side on the mask, solar mask. The side that's got the notches is the positive side. Oops, a little too much lead on the end of the pencil there. Okay. Let's see if we get a picture now. I have fixed a camcorder. This one's a success story, which is good because, as I say, many cameras, that's me shutting it off by the way, many times it's not a happy ending like this with these little camcorders. I'll put the camera board back in place and we'll put this one back together, and this one is done. The DC to DC converter back.
Now we can reassemble. Put the battery terminal back in first. Positive is on the left side, by the way. Plug in the, I have a cat meowing at the door. I can hear him howling away.
That's because the cat has brought his toy to the door, and he's wanting me to play catch with him. He wants to retrieve it like a dog. This is he's a rag doll, and well, they think they're small dogs because they like to play fetch. So he'll bring his toy and drop it and meow, and I have to throw it for him, and he'll go and bring it back to me, and he'll do that for a while until he gets tired of it. That's the neighbor's car. They got their radio turned up real loud. I'm working with the door open today because it's a nice day out. So that's where all that racket's coming from, across the street.
There we go. Lock that one in place. And plug the microphone in. Front cover on. I did have to pick the camera that was in the worst condition to look at first out of this batch. I had 3 of them in this box, but at least one of them's fixed, or it was. We'll see if it still works when I get it back together. There it is. Sliding back the tape perfectly. We'll make a test recording and see how it records. Record. I'm recording now. Does the zoom work? Probably not, because those buttons on the top. Oh yeah, it does. The zoom does work. The buttons on the top are not in very good shape, but it did zoom there. There you go. Zoom in and zoom out. Yeah, the buttons are held together with Scotch tape. What do you expect? But it's recording. We'll stop it and we'll play it back. Okay, and zoom does work. The buttons on the top are not in very good shape, but it did zoom there. There you go, zoom in. Okay, so it's working. Buttons are held together. You see what I mean? What do you expect? See what I mean about the buttons, right? Recording. So it's this one's fixed. Now this one, in all the beat up shape it's in, can go back to, I think this one came from Edmonton. So one of his 3 cameras that he sent me is fixed. We'll look at the other ones and see whether they are salvageable too. There we go. This one's another one saved. Another good 8mm camera is back in operational status, so people can recover their old home videos. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.